Welcome to Wide Flank.
Hello and welcome to Wide Flank, your very own Game Club podcast. I'm here with my co-host Danny Papes.
KMON, Los Angeles.
What?
Are you, should I just dox you?
No.
Okay.
He has
Okay.
a last name. Everyone knows it.
Okay, good. And Alon, who doesn't have a last name.
Hello? No last name?
Hello. And welcome to Wide Flank. No, I'm just kidding. We have a Discord that you guys should join. We have a video game club once a month. We also have a Patreon, which you should join if you haven't already. Thanks to everyone who already supports us. We really appreciate it. I hate this. This is a terrible intro.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Oh my God. I want to express my thanks and it's just not going well.
It'll get more natural over time. I think you did great, and I think we should just, we played Inscryption, and we're just going to kick it to Danny, who's going to tell us about the game. Like the usual, baby. We got this.
Okay.
Go, Danny.
I was just on to me.
Yeah?
All righty. Thanks, Teddy, for that intro. This month, we played Inscryption. Inscryption is a roguelike deck builder that was released last year in 2021. Game was directed by Daniel Mullins, developed by Daniel Mullins Games, and published by Devolver Games. Received somewhat polarizing responses from critics and players upon release. There weren't a lot of negative reviews, but there were a lot of lukewarm reviews, but it also won the Game Developers Choice Awards Game of the Year Award in 2021. It's not one that I've heard much about, like this awards show or group, but Game of the Year has gone to games like The Last of Us, Uncharted 2, Red Dead Redemption, The Witcher 3, God of War, Grand Theft Auto. Just basically every mega title from the last 20 years has won this award. So it really, it just like kind of shot into this, this is like, it's a pretty big deal that it earned this title and is seated amongst these greats. But it's kind of a genre-defying game that incorporates elements of escape rooms, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Slavic mythology. And it's pretty hard to explain what it is if you can't already tell. But we played it, and I guess we'll do our best to pick apart what makes it such an inspiring effort, a subversive game, and fun game.
My favorite part of the whole thing is when you coughed in between roguelike and deck building. It's like hinting that it's maybe not what it seems, It's a roguelike deck builder.
We should say probably at the top that we spoil every single game we play because we're big spoilers. But if you're even remotely considering playing this game, and by which I mean if you're listening to this podcast, you 100% should play this game because you are either our friend or you like video games or both, and you just have to play this game.
You like games enough to tolerate us, then you should definitely play this.
Yeah, if you like Konami games, which I know you do because I can read your memory card, turn this off and go play Inscryption. And then come back and play it. And I know you're out there, Damon. You don't care about spoilers, but you do care about spoilers.
Yeah,
don't listen to this.
It really would fuck this game up really hard. I actually think it's a direct correlation with the less you know, the more, unique and cool and inspiring and everything the experience will be of playing the game.
Did you guys, before we start to talk about the game, did you know anything was up early on walking into this?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think Andy Batsley in our Discord is the one that turned me on to this, and then Dom also was like, he supported it and was like, yeah, it's my game of the year, I'm obsessed with it. But that I think came from a conversation of like Hearthstone and or Slay the Spire. So yeah, I just thought I was going into a card game. Which is, I think, what you're supposed to think.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the card game. I have to say when I hit continue instead of new game, I was like, when you start the game, there's an option, there's a new game panel and a continue panel and an options panel, and you can't hit new game. You have to hit continue. I was like, something weird is going on here. But enter the card game. Okay. So who doesn't like Slay the Spire? Who doesn't like a deck builder roguelike? What's one more? I wanted to play Monster Train. Everyone's telling me Monster Train's an amazing deck builder roguelike. I haven't played it. Has anyone here played it?
Nope. Heard of it. Haven't played it.
Yeah, so okay. I didn't play that. But here's another one. Inscryption. I love Slay the Spire. I love Meteor Fall. I played on my iPhone on my commute. And yeah.
And cool. I love roguelikes too. I mean, I haven't like fully dove into Hades, but I'm sure I'll like it once I play with the controller. I like Risk of Rain. I like what are other roguelikes that I play? There's definitely others that are great and fun, and it's like a trendy genre, but it's trendy for a reason. They're so fucking fun. Spelunky, duh, hello, yeah.
So sign me up. Okay.
Yeah, it's an easy sell to be like, you guys should check this game out. It's all of these things that you already like. But yeah, so that the first, like, basically you sit down, you're in this house / cabin. It's dark. It's kind of weird. The music and sound design is weird and creepy. And it's sort of a tutorial like every new game, and just sort of teaches you the mechanics of this card game. Similar to like a Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or whatever type of, or Slay, just, one player card game against the computer on an asymmetrical board.
Yeah. So right away, like even as I'm getting into the mechanics of the card game, I'm immediately like, okay, I understand why people like this game. There's tons of ambiance. There is the person you're playing against is like a pair of glowing eyes across the table from you, who makes every time he talks, it basically the game just plays this like really deep, weird sound, and it just like so eerie and unsettling. What did you guys like? What do you think of the sound here?
Yeah, Danny, what do you think?
The physics.
Oh yeah, I mean it's awesome. It was like really scary, and I think the ambiance paired with it being extremely difficult at first. It's just like what am I walking into? It's like, this doesn't feel like, I mean, I guess I have a deck and I'm playing a card game, but it's just already it feels like a lot more than I bargained for coming in.
Yeah, I think
really
that's
sharp audio.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they nail the most, is that no matter how much you don't know about the game, I think everyone can like intuit that there's something else happening. There's like some fucked up weird, this game's like weird and creepy. Like even every card game has like a resource mechanic, right? It's like land and Magic or mana and Hearthstone or, whatever. And the resource in this game is sacrificing your cards for blood. And then later, the other resources is that every card of yours that dies, you get their bones. So those are the resources: the blood of the animals or the bones. Sometimes you get their pelts, and you can sell those. And it's just like it actually, one of the things you didn't mention, Danny, in the intro thing is that the original game came from a game jam that Daniel Mullins took part in. That was called what was it called? It was called Sacrifice something.
Sacrifices Must Be Made.
Sacrifices Must Be Made was the name of the game. And it was just all about, because he is a big Magic guy where sacking is like a big part of the game. But it was just all about, like sacrificing your own cards in order to play other cards, which I think plays into, the creepiness, the cabin, the guy. When you lose, you literally can't win your first run. So when you eventually lose and die, he fucking puts you into this room with the flickering lights, and it's like a torture room, and takes a photo of you and then makes you build a card called a death card of yourself. And he makes you name it and stuff. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
I think Danny early on was like, I love that you're just like playing against this dungeon master who basically just like is a really like good DM who just goes way over the top and like puts on a mask and plays different music and like different boss fights.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah, it feels like it just feels like you went to your friend invited you to his D&D night and he's like, my friend is such a good DM, and you're like
That's such a good fucking reference, because also, yeah, like the spots that you like land on the map and stuff are, you know, it's like different interactions, very much like a Slay the Spire type of thing, but it's the same guy. He just puts on a different wooden mask and starts like speaking to himself. What you'd imagine is like a different voice. You know, he's putting on like "Oh, you've arrived" or some weird shit. But it's all you hear is the like deep, scary sound. But it's like he's putting on like a puppet show for you at all times while like, you know, all this other creepy shit is going on.
Yeah, and even like what's happening in the background of your portrait here, Alon, which is all these wooden idols around a fire where you can like basically roll the dice to like level up your creature or your cards. But it's all kind of like text descriptions of what you're doing, or, you know, the game master is kind of talking to you every time you do something. There's no like cutscene that's happening, or like or even like a voice actor or anything happening. It's just like, it's a very, this in fact, this reminds me a lot of A Dark Room, the mobile game, where it's like the survivors are like gathered around the fire, they're hungry, you warm your card and it gains 1 health, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the like actual text that's the survivors, it's like you do the power up or whatever, and then you have the option to try and power them up again, or to back away from the survivors who are gnashing their teeth and like salivating at your creature. Like the wording is something like that. You're like, okay, they want to like eat my creature. Like, it's very clear that like this is not okay. This is dangerous.
Right, like I don't know. I haven't played Monster Train, but if you look at the artwork for it, it's like one of the most, like, that's why I haven't played it. It just looks so idiotic. And I'm sure someone worked very hard on it. I'm very sorry. But it just doesn't look
so
good.
Bad. Yeah.
And basically this game takes like a lot of similar ideas and other deck builders and stuff, like sacrificing or, you know, boosting cards, and right through like a little bit of flavor text or like text describing it and like some music and sound effects, it makes them feel so different and special. Like, yeah, you're going to give your card 1 extra health. I guess that's cool. But what you do here is right. And is a bunch of, again, survivors around a fire, like going to power up your creature, or they might eat it because they're cannibals or something like that. Just totally changes that mechanic into a narrative based decision.
One of the examples of that I have is, again, like with the sacrificing theme, is like you have items that you can use on the right side of your board, and you can use them in fights, and it's also sacrificing. Like, there's a pair of pliers, and well, we should maybe talk about how the health kind of works, but basically the health works on a scale. You don't really have health. You have infinite health because you're battling for a board. And you're battling to like basically get advantage on the board and then go for the kill. It's like a sliding scale of health. You have to win by...
It's literally like a actual like triple beam balance scale, right? A scale of justice.
Right. Yeah, I liked the Rock Paper Shotgun review. They described it well. They said it's those health scales that are the most immediately novel thing. You don't pick away at an opponent's health pool like in Hearthstone. Instead, the scales tip in both directions, meaning you must win by +5, stay away from -5. These scales mean the fight goes back and forth. You lose and gain momentum. You deliver killer blows. You claw back from near loss by being aggressive. One moment you're winning, the next your nemesis has you cornered. So it's very much like a push and pull thing. So what I was saying before is you have these pliers, or I think the first item that you get, and you don't really know what they're going to do. You're like, oh, maybe I'm like going to put them on the scale or use them on a card or something like that. But what you actually do is pull out one of your own teeth and put it on the scale, which counts as...
And it's horrible.
It's horrible, and it counts as 1 damage because teeth are the things that matter in this game. That teeth are like the damage. And you know, later you get a knife and you literally stab your own eyeball to win a fight, and then you can only see out of one eye for the rest of the fucking run. It's like insane. You sacrifice your creatures, you sacrifice your teeth, your eyeball, and you sacrifice anything to win in this like hellhole torture chamber.
So I think, yeah, I guess I don't want to get too far away from the card game mechanics, but like, whatever, fuck it. So like if I was playing another game, right, if I could just add 2 damage to my opponent's health pool with a random item, I would just use it all the time.
Yeah.
But like when I got the knife and I could gouge out my eyeball, I just never would use it unless like I absolutely needed to. And that actually prevented me from like progressing the storyline of the game, because I was just like, I never want to do this. I hate playing the game with one of my eyes missing. The sound is horrible. It's like sticking so the first person view of sticking a knife in your head. I was like, this can't, I would just rather risk dying here. I can't do it. It's horrible. And that they can take such like a no-brainer game mechanic and
it's like a power-up that just makes you like win a fight. It's like skip a battle, you know. There's a lot to say about the card game, because you know a lot of people, you know, according to reviews and stuff like that, consider the card game, the basics, like Act 1 of the game, to be the best part of the game, and to actually have been bummed that there's anything beyond the card game. And you know, now there's a mod called Kaycee's mod where you can just play the 1-player card game. It's like that fleshed out and that solid of a game, that you can play it like it is Slay the Spire, even though Inscryption is not Slay the Spire.
Yeah. So what do we think of the card game mechanics themselves? Like, do you like the way so the enemy, perhaps, like, it's not like a multiplayer card game where the enemy's hand is hidden. You actually can see their next move before you take your turn, which allows you to like plan strategically what you're going to do. Slay the Spire does this. Meteorfall doesn't actually do this. You just have to know from game knowledge how people behave. But do you think that's like an interesting mechanic? Like, do you think that's necessary to show how the computer's going to behave? And also, like, do you think the game did a good job doing that?
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got really frustrated when I would see a really big card that I couldn't do anything about 2 turns away. And I just feel like, if I couldn't see what was about to happen. Well, I mean, I think that the card game is obviously built around that pacing of it, right? And because there are 5 damage cards, and if the AI just randomly put it down on an empty space and killed you in 1 turn, it would be a little ridiculous. And I think,
that's a really good point. Like, so much about the game would have to change, right? If that was going to be different.
Wouldn't work.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just thinking about this while you're talking, which is the card game is designed to, like, the game wants you to progress, however slowly, but it wants you to get to the next act of the game. And the card game is like very clearly built around that, where you can get an OP card that if you draw it on your first turn, you can actually just win most fights. Which is like my last playthrough where I beat Act 1. I just had 2 cards that were extremely cheap and could one-shot everyone that wasn't a boss, basically. And
that must have been nice.
It took a long time to get there, but I earned every penny that I ever made. But but like the mechanics of the card game are designed, like, I feel like it's very intentional, where you can get a 7 damage card that can attack 2 spaces and just instantly win a round, you know? Like, that's just like a first principle for it, I feel like. And that, I think that hinders it as its own standalone game. like the actual card game itself in Act 1 is hindered by this like greater game design that it supports.
Okay, you're not taking my bait. I want to talk more about the card game itself because I totally agree with you.
I agree too, but I do have like more complaints about the card game because I think a lot of like my first 2 sessions of playing it while I was just playing through the game are like mostly just me reviewing it as a Slay the Spire comp, basically. You know, so a lot of the problems I had were just like basic card game problems before I realized that like you're not really playing a card game, but we'll get more into that later. But yeah, I mean, there's a problem with like consistency in decks, right? So like Magic the Gathering has this with tutoring cards, which they're trying to get rid of. You know, Hearthstone has a small deck side and also has a mulligan, also has a lot of draw cards. There's no draw cards in this game. There's
What's
no
a draw
card that like a card that you play that draws more cards in your deck. And there's like one tutoring card, I think.
What's a tutoring card?
The bird with the magnifying glass. That's like when you play it, pick a specific card in your deck.
Okay.
Like tutoring in Magic is like to go find a specific card in your deck. Like literally pick up your deck and thumb through the whole thing and be like, this card is what I want. So it doesn't have that kind of stuff. So you end up, or I ended up early on when I was losing a lot, because you do lose a lot when you're like learning the game, is just being frustrated by the lack of consistency. I'm like, I have some really good cards. I have a bunch of really bad cards and like pelts that don't do anything. And it's like, if I draw my good cards, I win. If I draw my bad cards, I lose. I hate that. There's other little things where it's like, I found it really hard to build synergy because like naturally I'm trying to play this like Slay the Spire or Hearthstone or whatever, where I play a lot of those games, and without the consistency, without draw, without tutoring, without like that much ability to remove cards from your deck, it's hard to get synergy. It's kind of like luck. It's like, oh, I want to take all like insect type or wolf type, but like I'm just not getting offered anything, and that feels bad too. But then like Danny is saying, eventually you just kind of get your death cards, what I mentioned earlier. Like you get your card, like my first one that I got was called Alan, and it was just like a broken ass death card that I made with like insane stats, and it was free to play. And I was like, my note at that point in the game was like, okay, so now I'm just gonna get death cards every time I play, and I'm OP and I can't lose. Like this doesn't feel like a roguelike deck builder. This just feels kind of like, I don't know. I just broke the game now, and now it's not even interesting. I'm just like one-shotting every single opponent. But, you know, again, that's not really the game. So you realize that like it wants you to break the game. The opponents in the game, the computer like basically cheats and teaches you that cheating is part of the game, and you're supposed to kind of break the game. And then you eventually do start breaking the game. Sorry, that was a lot.
Yeah, I like the way the game deals with card removal. So I feel like most games just have you let you burn cards, right? You just delete this card from your deck. You accumulate cards as you beat certain stages, and invariably, based on the way a lot of these deck builders work, you get cards you just don't want. Every time you draw them, it slows down your entire play style. And what this game does is you can sacrifice them. Oh, you can actually just delete them, or maybe that's in a later version. But
you can. There's the one icon that's like a card with an X through it, and you sacrifice a card, and then you get that like bone boost card.
Oh, right.
It gives you the bone at the start of every fight.
Yeah. And there's also a way you can get rid of cards by, one is if you have a duplicate of a card. You can merge those two together to make one single really good card, which is an amazing thing. And also, again, okay, very simple basic mechanic. We just combine duplicates and add their stats together. But in this, the character is like, look away. You don't want to see this. And it plays these horrible sounds.
He saws them in half. There's blood and cards flying all over the place. And then you have this like Frankenstein card. It's so sick.
And then the other one is different cards have different abilities, right? So you sacrifice a card, and that transfers the ability, but that's it to the new card. And both, I think, are like interesting ways to experiment with the game system without just being like, oh, remove a card you don't like.
Yes. I came around to love this, especially after beating the game, playing more Kaycee's mod, where it's just the card game. I've grown to be like, I really appreciate how he's gone about the necessity of removing cards, whereas in Slay the Spire, it's just pay 75 gold, remove a card.
Right.
Or pay 100 gold, next time pay 100 gold to remove a card. And you just know that. And you're just like, oh, okay, I just need to get to a shop so I can remove this one bad card. It's so much more interesting to have it like this.
Yeah, Danny, we didn't talk about this yet, but you haven't played a deck builder before. So were you pretty intimidated is the wrong word, but were you pretty uncomfortable with this style of game when you first went in, or had you played enough here Hearthstone and other stuff that you like pretty quickly made sense?
Yeah, the Hearthstone was really the only thing I'd played, so I think I was looking too hard for synergies and trying too hard for synergies at first. Right. I was like, I know exactly what kind of deck I'm going to have this playthrough. I'm going to be like, I'm going to have a ton of squirrels and 1 cost so that I can like build up to my 4 blood cost, where I have to sacrifice 4 of my own cards to play. And I just felt like I got really frustrated because I kind of thought that's the kind of game I was playing. And then after a while of trying to get good at that, I realized that's not really what kind of decks you build in this game. It definitely made it I definitely had a less fun time. I had many periods of not fun in this game, and I think in Act 1 that was mostly caused by this I had this idea of what deck building is that didn't play out in the game, and made it very challenging. My play time for this game, I think, is by far the longest of anyone in Discord or of the 3 of us.
Right. Well, I think it's funny because Alon and I talk about this sometimes, which is like what I love about single player card games and roguelikes in general is that, but especially single player card games versus multiplayer card games, is they don't need to be balanced super tightly, right? You can come up with something that's really OP, and it feels really satisfying to break the game that way. Break the game, like push the game to its edge in a way that maybe the developer might not like. You're like, maybe they didn't realize how good this was going to be or something. Do you have anything you want to say on that, Alon? Because what I think that leads into is like very quickly as a experienced deck builder, I was like a deck builder player. I was like, this is way too easy to build an OP card, right? You're saying with the death card, like, wait, like I am just like, and Danny, you figured it out eventually too, right? You're like, oh, I have Mantis God or whatever, and I can just break it. But very quick, I was like, oh wait, I can just steamroll this game. Maybe I'm not as clever as I think I am. Like, what exactly is going on here?
I love when the video cuts to Luke, and we'll explain that later, and he just goes, yeah, always pick Mantis God. So good. But I kind of had it in between of you two guys, because like Danny, I was trying really hard to synergize and just make a really solid, fluid, like seamless deck that worked really well. Like I think the first like synergistic card I got was Ant Queen or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a fucking insane ant deck. Like, I'm just going to, like, pop off with ants like this. And I could never get it. I didn't see another ant the whole time. And I was like, fucking hell, like, unlucky, And it took me a little bit to just realize, like, okay, I'm just, like, I understand this game a bit more now. And I can just, like, kill. And, like, I know what I need to use when. And, like, you don't need that much synergy. You just need, the right preparation. And like you guys were saying about like knowing their intents, like seeing their moves ahead of time. I think they do it in such a cool way because like in Slay the Spire, it's like you see he's going to attack, the enemy's going to attack with how much damage they're going to do. Now you can block or do whatever you want to them. I like that in this game, you see their cards on the board, but you can't interact with any of their cards yet. Like they still attack you first. no matter what you do. You just know how they're gonna attack, which I think is really cool. You can't just like kill their whole board before they get a turn. I think it's like a really balanced, fun way to do it. So yeah,
Go
ahead.
Sorry if I could just jump in. I think there are some like little ways that you can interact with that backup line of cards by you can intentionally leave the enemy card in front of it up so that say they have a really strong card that's waiting to come in. Like there is like just enough of it where it's not just like inevitable next turn, and then there's like overflow damage, but
sometimes you have to just lay a squirrel down to just soak up 5 damage to buy you one more turn, and you're gonna win the next turn. You know, like little things like that feel so good and like clever, you know. But I was gonna say Milk's question was, is this a good card game as far as computer card games go? And Svenny was actually wondering the same about other deck builders, and I think my answer would have been no. I think I even wrote in the Discord, the worst part of this game is the card game after my first like 3 or 4 hours playing the game. And now I love the card game. I actually think Kaycee's mod is so good, and it's just a really, really tight, well-made game.
Yeah, I think once you clean it up and make it really streamlined and like take it out of the overarching trying to beat the game, the card game, you see just how good it is.
Yeah. It's funny when you look in the Discord, and again, everyone should join the Discord. We have a channel for every game that's in the game club and whatnot. But I was scrolling back in time to when people were first starting to play, right? And just the way that like we're all learning to play the game together was really interesting to look at. You know, like the first few things were like Hayden being like, does anyone have tips for the third board? Like, I'm just getting wrecked every time. I don't know. You know, everyone's talking like strategy and what card. And then like, you know, Milk chimes in. He's probably a little further along in the game, and he's like, I just steamrolled it with my death card, you know. And then Teddy chimes in later, and he's like, I was able to get bone and squirrel carvings, you know, and use this item to beat this boss, and we're all learning and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool, until eventually everyone just learns a unique way to break the game and win. Like, there's infinite ways to break the game, which I love.
Just scrolling back in this channel is amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much good history here.
Right, and none of them are like unbelievably game breaking, or they feel like it's not common. Like you really lucked out by getting this game breaking thing. Like when you finally beat the boss, or when you finally challenge the boss is actually normally there's 4 cards that can like enemy can lay out, but the boss is just one big card. And there's an ability that. Yeah, Danny, do you want to, because this didn't happen to me, this happened to Danny.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, well, there's like this mega card, the moon, that covers the entire enemy side of the board. And it seems like there's like my first time encountering it, I was like, wow, I have no idea what's going on. And I had a 1/1 adder, which has like the Hearthstone poison ability, which if it damages an enemy, it kills it. And the moon has like 40 health. And I just attacked without playing any cards, and my adder killed the moon in 1 turn. So there's like, you know, just like lucked out. You know, it wasn't like I had this OP card. It was just lined up perfectly in this one moment.
It's like if this is a creature, it's treated as a creature, and if you play the death touch, normally it'd be like if you do that against a boss, it'd be like, oh, the boss is immune to death touch or something.
Right. Yes, right. That's every other game ever made is that. Right. But again, like this is I'm ripping this from the Eggplant podcast, but I think that she's right when she said that like it really does teach you early, and I didn't notice this while I was playing it, but it's just something that is fun to think about after the fact. But it teaches you early that like they cheat, your opponents cheat. It's cool to cheat in this game. Like shred them, you know, and like and that idea synergizes perfectly with roguelikes, which is kind of how roguelikes are already, right? Because like the whole beauty of roguelikes is like that gambling nature of building the OP build, like seeing something in your head, like a strategy where you're just like, if I just get like these few cards, I will fucking wreck everything. And this game leans into that super hard by just being like, here's the card of your dreams. Every time you die, you get to make the card of your dreams, basically. And then like maybe later you'll draw it, and then you do, and you're just like, oh my God. Everyone's so fucked. By the way, the photo, the death card photo, should take an actual picture of you with your webcam.
That would be
for
sick.
sure. Like I was like, I can't believe it's not doing that.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask what your best, like, what was your Superman death card? Like, what was your best death card you had in your playthroughs?
What about you, Teddy?
I don't even remember. It was a while ago.
I think the first one that I beat the game with was a 0 cost, because I took the cost from a pelt.
Right.
3-2, which are the stats from the wolf, with the Mantis God sigil.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
Deal 0 cost, deal 9.
Yeah. I had a
so
what was
broken.
it? Do you remember its name?
Oh, I wish I had it so badly. My screenshots weren't working. I'm so bummed about it. But my first one was Alon, because it says just like type in your name, and then it was like Alan, and then it was like, and then I just started mashing on my keyboard for the rest of the one. Yeah, exactly. New props.
Mine was
I
had a 7/7
Oh,
one blood Mantis God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was and it was named Big Guy. Yeah, and that's, I literally like I don't know. I'd say every other game I would get at first turn and just instantly win.
Insta win. Yeah. And
it's insane.
Yeah, and you get the overkill teeth to spend at the
oh my God,
trapper.
The bowl was spilling. It was crazy.
Spilling over with teeth.
I probably had 200 teeth in that playthrough.
Oh my God.
I just real quick, was the moon hard to beat?
Never ever hard.
Okay, cool.
I feel like it's almost designed that like you can't lose to it, because it was so bad. It was so easy.
Yeah,
I killed it in one turn the first time and 2 turns the second time.
Yeah,
so I never really knew.
You just play your cards, and positioning doesn't really matter, because the moon takes up the whole board. And I feel like if you, no matter how bad your deck is, you just play a card a turn and you win.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so we've spent 30 minutes talking about the card game.
Yep. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, the card game isn't the fucking game. Why did we just spend 30 minutes talking about the not game?
Yeah, then it turns out you're playing the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you guys so you beat the moon, you through a series of escape room activities, you also beat the game. You're trying to stop playing this game, right? So you eventually get the film, you take a picture of Leshy, and then the loop's broken, but you're just stuck in a dark cabin, right?
Yep.
And the game's over. Or as far as you're aware, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
So were you guys stuck here? Did you guys?
I was not stuck here.
For like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Did you? And it was because you were just like, I shouldn't leave. What were you thinking when you're in the dark cabin after beating him?
I was like, what the fuck am I not seeing in this room? Or like, I'm like literally clicking every like 2 inches on my screen, trying to find like a hidden thing in the dark, and clicking on the candles, clicking on the door. And then I think I spent like 5 minutes in the room, and I was like, okay, there's nothing to do. Then I reloaded the game the next day, and I was like, okay, there's still nothing to do. And before I figured it out.
Yeah, I knew right away, because when I first played the game, I was trying so hard to like click new game, and very much noticed that like you can't click new game. And I was like, this is cool, but like, am I doing something wrong or whatever? So when you're in the cabin and you see the new game thing and you get it, I was like, oh, sick. Like something else. Like I'm going down a different path now. And like the cabin itself is just filled with all these puzzles and like weird weird stuff. There's a safe and a knife and little puzzle games, and there's the locked like torture death room door. And there's like some of the card, we didn't even mention this, some of the cards are talking to you too, right? So they're kind of like telling you the answer to some of the puzzles, but they're also hinting that there's more to the game, right? Because there's like, I remember one of the quotes from the Stoat, which is one of the talking cards, is like, there's a way out for both of us somewhere in this foul cabin. Right, I remember like reading that and just being like, what? Like, so, you know, I'm trying to like free the talking cards while beating the guy who's holding me prisoner and escaping the cabin or something. Like, you're very slowly piecing stuff together.
Yeah, so going into this, I knew something was up. I knew this was like kind of a meta game, right? A game about
going into the game, you knew that?
Yeah, but I thought I got it. I thought I got like the escape room thing. There's puzzles. Oh, when I gouged my eye out and I got the data, like the special magic seeing eye, I was like, okay, I get what they're doing here. Like, there's like some cool puzzles that can like help you play the card game. And like, okay, actually what I'm trying to do is just get out of the cabin and escape. And I thought I kind of basically got it. And like maybe resetting the game so you can hit new game was like how you were going to like officially be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, right, as Alon says, you discover the new game icon so you can finally hit new game for the first time. And you're transported into a 16-bit Pokemon world where you're now playing basically a RPG version of this game, of the card game.
Like much more deck buildery 16-bit version of the game you were just playing.
Yep.
I thought it was like the credits. I thought it was going to be like the credits or something. And when I started moving my character around, and it was like, pick which person you want to be when you play this game, I was like, okay, this is the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I'm done, right? Like, this is just like a ha ha ha. This is like, this is
that
good.
Was the moment where I was like, holy hell, this game is unbelievable. Like, I was really blown away. I was like, this is, well, we didn't even really, you mentioned the Blair Witch videos, but that was actually, that was the first time when I was like, this game is fucking sick. Like, I wish I could like show the Discord on YouTube right now, but basically it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I don't like this game. Like, maybe I just don't like any games. Like, I'm not good enough to be on wide flank. And then like 4 hours later, it's like 6 a.m. I'm like, this game is fucking sick. And that was because of the Blair Witch videos that you get to see before you go into the 16-bit world.
Right. So I don't even remember. Is it because you hit new game or is it after you beat the game? When do they start?
After you beat the game, I think.
Yeah. Basically, you're no longer playing a card game. You're watching an SD card collection of video files.
Yeah, you're just like in an SD card's UI, and there's like videos for you to click to play. That's all you really see. I mean, should we talk about those? And I think they're so good. Like, I think they could have been really bad, and I think that they nailed it, and they're so good.
Yeah, FMV, like real human videos in video games to me is so jarring. It is so unbelievably jarring.
Yeah.
And I've like played some of the old. We watched some videos of like the old Police Force game or whatever. It is like so strange to me. And yeah, I just loved basically this dude who is a vlogger who opens cards on live stream, is looking for rare cards, is basically found a real version of Inscryption. He gets a card that has a GPS location. Right?
Yeah, coordinates.
GPS coordinates, and he goes and digs up a floppy disk that is the Inscryption. And I was getting like Blair Witch vibes, but also like the mystery of it was reminded me so much of Jumanji, where like there's something about the like fantasy as an adult that doesn't inspire me, like that doesn't really like make me feel like trick me into feeling like it's real. I don't get like caught up in it. It's like, oh, this is like a cool bit of imagination, but I don't feel excited by it. But like when I was a kid, Jumanji, I was like, oh my God, this is like insane. Like the fantasy world coming into the real world. Like I play games. Like I could imagine being this. Like Hack was like the Neverending Story, right? That also is that same feeling of this, like almost like this could be me. And Inscryption had this. I was like, wow, like this is like something crazy is going on here. I don't know what it could possibly be. I've never experienced something like this before. And I didn't know what it was going to be, but I was just so my jaw was open as I was watching these videos.
Me too. I had the same feeling. Like I was just like, holy fuck, this is so fucking sick. Like I thought the coordinates were going to lead to the cabin and there's going to be an interaction like in the cabin. I was like, don't go in there, man. You know, like you know, like when you're watching horror movies and like rooting for them to like not die or whatever. And then it's fun to flop. It was just, the actor was really good and really real. You know, like those type of like people really exist. They're all over the internet and
real in a kind of a bad, weird way.
Yeah, like it like he's cringe because it's real. Like if it wasn't realistic, his cringe wouldn't have felt real. I don't know if what I'm saying even makes sense, but it was very, very good and like and totally mind blowing.
It's funny. I had the same kind of aha moment or realization, like that this game is so much more, but it didn't come at the first SD card. I was actually really not interested.
Oh, okay.
This was like my least favorite part of the game was from when I finished Act 1 to like almost probably the end of Act 2. And so I guess Act 2. But like these videos, I was like, like this is really a stretch. I'm like the game, there are cards, inscription cards in real life. Like, oh, this guy's opening it's spooky. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I did think they were good, and I was definitely things like I've seen card opening videos exactly like this. In fact, that look less real than this. So
totally.
I definitely thought it was good. But I was really like, I think then I just proceeded to not have fun for a little while, and I was like, fuck this, fuck whoever made this game. This is like, it was so cool. I was just starting to have fun.
So did you just think this was like a gimmick, or did you think there was something bigger going on here? You just didn't care, or?
I think I just didn't care. I had kind of been filling in my own idea of what was going on around the game in the cabin. And like I was trying to guess what the mythos was, and then it just kind of like threw a wrench into what I kind of understood everything to be, and I just didn't respond well. I was like, oh, so I don't know. It took me a while to kind of get back on board and to kind of buy into what they had put together, which I think is fine. I was just
it just didn't work on you.
I had the exact reaction later. You know?
Oh, interesting. Oh, so you still were in, just at a different point in the game.
Yes, exactly. Like this was just not it. And then towards the end of the second act, it kind of clicked, and I was really interested in the broader story and what they were.
Where in the second act did you?
Yeah, just keep going.
I think probably at the end of the second act.
Yeah, well,
when I was done with it, I think
like going to Botopia.
I think like the magician, the final fighting the magician.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think I was kind of thinking still it was going to be over, or like very quickly the game was going to be resolved.
Right. Yeah,
and so I was kind of just like, okay, I'll just like wrap this up. Like I got it. This was crazy, wild. Like after I watched those videos and I was walking around, and then I kind of realized like there was a lot more to do, and then once I started talking to the wizard's apprentices, I was cracking up. I was like, I wanted to see what was in the next room. I wanted to see more of the writing. I was like in a very small way, I was back on board in the game. I wasn't like super interested in the whole larger mythos and like what was going on with the card opener. I wasn't as excited about that, but I was like, yeah, whatever this writing, these little bits of storytelling, I'm totally in for.
I mean, I already spoke about how like my first 3-4 hours, I was like, I'm not really into this card game. Like I just feel like I'm playing the same map over and over again. Like I'm getting cheesed by like cheating bosses who just like spawn 4/4-2s on my board and just kill me in one turn. I'm like, oh cool, I have to play the same map again. You know, like there was a lot of that, but there was also just, I mean, we've talked about a lot of it already, and it continues further into the game. There's just always something that was there for me to cling on to. When I wasn't liking the card game, I was loving the music. I was loving the vibe. I was loving the cabin, right? Like when the Blair Witch Project like blew me away, and then the 16-bit, I was like, oh my God, I have to learn 4 more card games now. Like there's 4 new mechanics in this game now, and I have to build a deck. Like fuck me, you know. But also I was like, this is so cool that I'm playing Pokemon deck builder now, and like you know, like there was always something. And yeah, for me, the Blair Witch was definitely something that was like, whoa, what the hell is going on? But I could see how it'd be. I mean, I guess that's something that's really good about the game, is that there's sort of something for everyone in a way, right? Like, it doesn't matter which point like sucks you in, as long as you're in, because like the payoff is like worth it. Like feels like the payoff's always going to be worth it.
Yeah, I have
No.
I just wanted to slide this in, which I have a note from. I think I was like 3/4 of the way through Act 2. I was like just getting ready to go to the Magician's Tower, and I have I feel the same way about this game as I do about Bohemian Rhapsody. Which I was like, I get why people think this is amazing, but it's also like, this should just be. They just should have written more than one song, or like this is just like multiple songs at once. And I was like, I guess that's cool, but it's also cheating. Like I always say, like the Abbey Road medley in the Beatles album is like, if these were all one song, it'd be the greatest song of all time and way better than Bohemian Rhapsody. But they decided to not be like hacks and like just make them separate songs. But and I felt that because I was like, I'm like building a deck now, which I've never had to do. I'm like, I have to learn these new stupid power puzzles that I never understood. Yeah. Even after solving all of them.
Kind of don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. I could not explain it to you. I know that if I put a 0 on something, it goes to 0. It becomes a 0. But then sometimes you put a +1, it doesn't do anything, and sometimes you do it +1's everything around it.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, and I just. Bullshitted my way through it. But then also, like, you get to the Magician's Tower, and like there's Mox cards, and there's Ruby and Sapphire emblems that affect your cards. It's just like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I was like, I just want to finish this game and make my fucking podcast episode about it.
I could totally see that. And he mentions that. So Daniel Mullins is on the Eggplant episode that I've mentioned a couple times already, but he like was getting negative feedback when the game first came out, and he's a big card game guy and kind of just assumed that people who played this were going to be like card game people. And what he didn't anticipate was like roguelike heads or strategy game heads or just gamer people who don't play card games being like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to build a deck. I don't know how to build a fucking deck from scratch, you know? Like, I don't know how many squirrels to put in my deck. Fuck this, you know what I mean? And I just, it's just like, he added like an auto build feature and stuff like that. And,
Right, there are definitely cards I had in my deck that I didn't know how to use, that I was just like, I know it has health, so it's going to defend against an attack, and that's all I need to know.
And I was the polar opposite of like Danny, and I was like, this is the perfect deck. I literally made the perfect deck. It was unbeatable. I was like, I know I'm gonna win every fight on like turn 3. It's like, this is over.
Yeah, my deck was absolute shit in this section too, which was not good. I had I tried to make like a bone deck work the whole time, where I just had like 10 skeletons.
Yeah.
And I was like, they'll just die and I'll get tons of bones. Then I'll have like these really strong bone cards that come in like turn 3. And there just aren't that many good bone cards. So it just never worked. And it like took me so long. Once I'd spent all this time trying to figure out this mechanic, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm like, I'm not putting my faith in a new build. And eventually I got like a deck that's just good enough.
I totally get it. I totally get it. That it's just like that was like, that section was for me. You know, like that section was for Magic players, and like I love building Hearthstone decks. It's like I almost like building Hearthstone decks more than I like playing Hearthstone. Like I love trying to find the perfect balance, like perfect synergies, like everything working out, you know, just everything in its right place or whatever. So that this part was perfect for me, but I totally get it. I was still, even that said, I was still like, oh, do I need to like put orange, green, and blue orbs into my deck? Like I don't want those in my deck. I have the 59/59 Ouroboros. Like I don't need this other shit, right? I was really worried that like my really sick deck was only gonna work against Leshy, who's the cabin guy, and it wasn't gonna work against the other scribes, the magician, the fucking death woman, and what's the other one? The computer, the PO3. But yeah, but I loved it. But I also totally get like being frustrated by a lot of those things.
I don't know exactly the best time to talk about this, but I love the way people's tone change in our channel for Inscryption. Like talking about the card game mechanics, talking about this is really hard, this sucks, and then just like, wow.
Yeah. What
like,
the fuck?
This game is crazy. This game is so good. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's just that evolution, and then like just not really knowing how to talk about it for spoiler risk, but also just like how to talk about it. Like every time I was farther along than you guys when we would do our podcast, like meetings to like check in with the game. And you guys are just all talking about the card game mechanics, and
you're just like,
and I'm just like, this is so fucking great. Like, I just like, this is exactly what I want. I'm so glad, like, blessed that I get to be in this position. Like,
I know
how much it's going to change for you. It was
I know.
So exciting.
I really hope that I get to watch our friends play. Like, I really hope Damon buys this game and streams himself playing.
Yes.
Like I just want to
stream so badly.
I really want to watch. Like I think it'll be so fascinating to see like what they think about the card game, what they think about the transitions, like their reaction, and like all of that stuff. I'm dying to see it. Yeah, and then so I mean, it's a whole new. It's not just a whole new area. It's a whole new like plot point and direction for the overarching story of the game to move in. So there's these 4 scribes, they're called, which are basically just like the bosses, like the ones we mentioned, and then you beat all 4, and then you go to another entirely new area, Botopia.
Yeah, so you basically beat this section of the game, right? And you're teleported back into a 3D world. Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I was kind of lukewarm on this area. It sounds like you were too, Danny, but I still enjoyed parts of it. And when I came to Botopia, I was like the music was on, the colors were really like blue, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like,
I thought it looked so cool too. Like the way you attack in like the first act and the second act, like I don't even really know, like nothing comes to mind of like the attack animation, but in Botopia you're basically in like a computer world, in like a hard drive almost. You're playing like against computer virus basically, and like the way that your cards attack is like a fucking like huge shotgun like shoots the empty space. It looks so cool. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Were you into this, Danny, or were you like, oh god, another area?
No, actually when I first got there, I was psyched because it looked more like Act 1.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, like we're kind of going to like a new version of this, and yeah, I mean, it just was like, it was beautiful. And I was thinking a lot about how good the visuals of this game are in this section. And yeah, so I was back on board at this point in the game. I was ready to. I think again, I was kind of because it had taken me so long to get to this point in the game, and I knew how long it had taken people I knew, like people in the Discord, to finish it. I was kind of like, man, I gotta finish this game. And I was like, and then when I saw like there are 4 points I have to get to in Botopia, I was like, also.
Oh, I'm such an idiot.
Botopia,
it's Botopia. I've said Botopia this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I love Botopia, and I think we should just call it that. But
holy shit, I'm so dumb.
But I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so horrified. It's because of the 1 T, right?
Yeah.
It's Daniel Mullen's fault, not our fault.
Yeah, fuck him, dude. He's Canadian.
Yeah.
I just love that, like, there's so much about this game that took me so long to figure out, and you guys, like, mastered so much more quickly. And then it's like...
the name of the robot world is Botopia.
Also, I called him Poe.
Oh. Yeah, I always called it
interesting.
PO3, but yeah, it could be Poe. Yeah, it is Poe, probably. Because there's a lot of, like, talk in this game.
Yeah.
Wow, so dumb again.
Wow, I'm learning so
I'm
much.
always impressed by how dumb I am and how much I miss.
Dude, you literally make Hearthstone decks for fun. You're not dumb.
Yeah, it's true. But so this area, again, like Danny said, it's more similar to Act 1. It's more of like a straightforward single player card game, deck builder, roguelike type of thing. You're backing that with, there's new mechanics, there's new power-ups, there's a lot of like cool stuff, and then there's 4 more bosses that you have to navigate to beat this area. But some of these bosses are the coolest parts of the game, like some of the most like, oh my fucking god, this game is so cool moments for me.
Right,
like I said, yeah.
The game, no, the game's starting to lag for me again. Like, towards the end of this section, I'm like, okay, like the charm's worn off. Am I gonna have to play 2 more characters? Also, am I gonna? Right. And I'm like, oh no. But yeah, so what? Basically, the first good boss you fight is the librarian, right? Or is it the
the archivist?
I think the librarian is the last boss.
I don't remember the order.
Yeah, so it's the internet person is the next. Is like,
oh my god, so cool. So you listened to the Eggplant Pod, right, Teddy?
Yeah.
So like she told a story on that because she was one of the beta testers in the game. So basically, in this fight, you like make a custom card and then send it to somebody, and he's just like, all that happens is like an animation happens and he's like, I'm sending it or whatever. And you get someone else's custom card, but you don't really know. But she said on this podcast, since she was in the beta test, it was sort of a small community of people that she posted on the Discord, like, because she got an incredible random card that someone else made. She posted in the Discord and was like, hey, who made this? Like, this card kicks ass. And the guy replied and was like, I made that. Like, I'm so happy you got it. So, like, it actually sends a card to a random other Inscryption player, and you're actually receiving card from other random Inscryption player. It could be a complete troll, like, worthless card. It could be the most broken card in the game. Like, I fucking love that. It's so cool.
Did you get a card from someone else?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did you?
No. It like said like like I'm not finding anything. And
Really?
it just gave me my card back. Though but it does when it gives you your card back, it says, I hope you weren't trying to troll anyone. But
that's awesome. No, I
was
got
bummed,
like a random card. Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's too bad.
I made such a good card.
Me too.
Or I thought it was a good card. And I do think it was a good card. But when I got my card from the internet, I was like, oh, wow, that's a good card. Like, someone made me a
this
fucking
is pod racing?
amazing. Yeah, this is pod racing. It was awesome. I was like, also, it was just the guy's name was so funny. Like
the
whatever
names are so funny. The way the cards look are so funny. Like it's just like such a cool. Like when I've never played a FromSoft game, but people talk about this in like Dark Souls and stuff, and I see people talk about Elden Ring all the time. There's like notes on the ground. They're so stupid. Like I've watched people play, and it's like butthole here or whatever, and I'm like, that's not funny. Like I just don't like the interaction. It's like, I think the first thing I would do is like shut them off, but this isn't a Dark Souls pod. But like this kind of interaction where you just like get a random thing from something that someone else made, I think was like incredible and like so clever and so cool.
Yeah.
And there's more of this. There's more interactivity.
You guys just want to talk about the Archivist? Did you what did they ask you first? You like, what's your oldest file, or is it
no?
Your...
First you choose a biggest file.
Yeah.
So first you find your biggest file. Like, so this boss, the Archivist, accesses your actual hard drive on your computer, and then asks you for like your biggest file to deal damage to him. So I'm like going through my C drive, like finding 2 gigabyte videos that I've edited and stuff, and like double clicking that, and then like it goes onto the scale to like deal damage to him, basically.
Right. Instead of like teeth falling or whatever, literally like giant file cube falls on.
Yeah.
I also like found a really small one first. And
what did he say?
And he was just like, I think you could do better or something. And then I found like a bigger one, and I found a huge one, and just like seeing that giant cube fall out after seeing the other one fall out, it was just like so satisfying. I was like, oh, I found my video clip folder, and it's easy to dump these huge files on them.
It was so cool. And then you have to find like your oldest file. So
I was so mad because I just wiped, like, clean installed Windows and a new hard drive.
No.
Like in January. It's just like, fuck. Literally my oldest file's like 4 months
2021, yeah.
So I have a new solid state so nothing is old on there, basically. It's like a year old. But I also have my old hard drive, which I didn't wipe, which I don't use anymore, but it's still accessible on my computer. And so I literally was going through like all these old files from like, I don't know, from when I first got my computer. And it was like, I haven't interacted with these in so long. And it was like so funny. I like see all these like PUBG clips and stuff, just like to go through this, it was like not even my, like an old files on this thing. It was like old files like on an older version of my computer. And it was so emotional for me. It was like, I was really like digging through my past, and I'm sure they're like, even if you just dig through your own files, like trying to find your oldest file, this would happen as well. But I was like, really, I don't know. Like I was playing, and we can probably talk more about this maybe starting now, but like I was playing the history of myself and the knowledge of the dates of my files in order to beat this game, right? Like this is not what I thought I was going to be doing in the cabin when I first started playing.
Yeah, it immediately made me think of all of the really cool little, I guess call them like secret interactions in Metal Gear Solid. Like the stuff that we talked about, but also a lot of the stuff that I didn't know about that you guys told me about on the podcast, just like, you mentioned the memory card thing, various other stuff like that, where I really like this is like I thought this was so well done and so magical and so cool, and like nothing I haven't really heard or seen of anything that was this well done since probably that Metal Gear Solid episode for me.
Yeah, and I mean I've complained about it, or I talked about it on that episode and probably a couple others where, and I think also on the Last of Us episode where like no game has excited me with like a creative design choice like this other than the Metal Gear Solid games.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that not only did I feel like, okay, this is on par, or they did something similarly exciting. I was like this is fucked up. Like this is crazy. And then when they say like when you choose your oldest file and it's like it's gonna get deleted if it dies. I was like, well, the game can open my hard drive. I assume it can delete something on it. I was like, and it was my first Tarkov clip from like this past year. I was like, oh my god, I think this is a sick clip. Like, I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Yeah, like I chose a photo from 2010 of me and my brothers. That was the like I just went to my pictures folder and this is the oldest one. And then he's like, if it dies, I'm gonna delete it. And he shows the picture on like the display. So I'm just staring at a picture of me with my two brothers, and I'm like, fuck. Like, is he gonna delete my photo? Like I wasn't paying that close of attention where I placed it on the board. You know, it's just like it's just in play now.
Yeah, and there's also the other thing that happens in this fight, or one of these fights, is the enemy turns your Steam friends into cards.
Yes.
And so like Daigo and Greg's like cat icon are attacking me. I was like, what the fuck? Daigo's like a 1 damage, 14 health card.
Yeah, the Steam friends is like another great like just interaction.
Metacritic.
Yeah, I remember you guys telling me about a Metal Gear example of like when you are like sniping a guy and then you change the time on your memory card and then he dies of old age or something like that. Like, it's so cool to hear about that stuff, but this is the first time I feel like I uniquely experienced it on my own with no prior knowledge that anything like this was even coming. Like, this is really my only opportunity for even that. Like, I knew about some of the Metal Gear shit before I even played it, you know? Just some of the like, you know, really famous, popular interactions. This is the first time where I was like, oh my god, this is so fucking cool. Like, I can't believe that, like, Teddy and Hayden are on the board as my Steam friends, and I have a picture of my brothers in play, and, like, just everything was just so fucking cool.
Yeah, so it might be because by virtue of this being an indie game, or...
Yeah.
But, like, that's thing from Metal Gear Solid 3 where you change the clock, like that's not the only way to beat it, right? There's still a typical way you can beat it. That's like basically an Easter egg. That's not really part of the game, right?
Right.
And what I think is special about this is he's basically doing that, plus also like the move your controller, plus I know you like Konami games, I'm reading your memory card and I'm looking at your history, and it's so much of those things we've experienced, and you just have to interact with it in like a really deliberate way. And it was maybe with like the passage of time, maybe they were as profound when that first happened, but like this to me was just like oh my god, I just am in awe.
I mean, I do think that that's a good point, that it's these are very much not Easter eggs. This is a necessary boss fight, and the only way to do the fights is this way. There's no other option. There's no other play around. There's no other, like, whatever, alternate route or whatever the fuck. So, yeah, I mean, you can play through Metal Gear and basically experience, like, almost none of the Easter eggs, you know, except for maybe the reading of your memory card, depending on when you play it and what, like, port of it. But this game, it's just like so ingrained in it, and it does it like the cabin with like the world building and the aesthetics and the vibe and all that stuff. It really like puts you in this cyber, you know, world. Like at your act 3, like you're in there, like you feel like you're in a computer in that moment.
I feel like basically when you first fight the internet boss, and then the game is just like a non-stop, like I'm just absolutely in love with this game until the very end. Me too. Like this climax, just unbelievable. And
unreal.
You basically you win, you beat Poe, and then the robot, and then it turns out through, I think, more videos, but also the other characters in the game who aren't the robot, Leshy and the other bosses, the wizard, they basically say this game is evil, right? You need to delete this game. We got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so basically they conspire with you to stop the robot from uploading the video game Inscryption onto the internet and just deleting it forever once and for all. And so like basically the next phase of the game is I think it's Leshy who's like, I just want to play the game with you again. Or is it Bones?
It's so good. I think
Leshy. Well, I guess both, but Leshy in particular. I think Grimoire like is challenging you, but Leshy is like, please, just like we won't keep score. Just like please keep playing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's like a bar. The game's being deleted from your computer.
Yeah, that's key. Like this whole from that point on, which I don't even know how long it was because my brain was just exploding and but like you're just seeing like every file in the game being deleted with a bar. Like if you highlighted every file on your Windows computer and press delete, like that's what you're seeing. And so slowly every asset in the game is disappearing. And while that's happening, you go ahead.
Right, like you were saying, Danny, like you're playing Leshy and then suddenly the scale gets deleted and he's like, it's okay, we don't need to keep score. I just want to play the game with you. And it's like this really kind of like sad moment where you're just like, you are playing the game and score doesn't matter. And then like things start getting deleted and like the world, he's like, oh, I thought we had more time.
I just want to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Everyone tries to shake your hand at the end.
But then we go to the Grimoire world or wherever, and you're like, oh my God, do I have to he basically has created a whole nother 3D world where you are playing Grimoire, the bone version of the game. And I was like, wow, I'm about to play Act 4, like a bone version of the game. And I don't know if I want to do it, but what just happened was like actually amazing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe I'm up for it. But you don't. Like it just deletes it. And it's like it seemed like he knew perfectly not to overstay the welcome of the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. He was like, I'm gonna drop this here. I'm gonna like expose you to it. You're gonna know it was here, and you're gonna basically use your imagination. You kind of know what would happen, and then that section of the game's just deleted, and that's all you see of it.
Yeah. So once you're done with Leshy, you like go to the magician's like battlefield, and it's literally like a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. You like have the Yu-Gi-Oh arm deck piece and you like play magicians who appear in and like actually physically hit each other when you attack. It's like it's just even in the moment where things are like being deleted, there's just like oozing with creativity and effort. It's amazing.
I wish I got like a quote from Matt because Matt's wife is due in 2 weeks, so he was like, there's no chance that I'm gonna play this game, because I warned him. I was playing Inscryption and we were gonna play League, and I was like, I'm at like the very end, like just wait for me to finish this, and he wanted to see it, and so I was like, just making sure you're never ever gonna play this game, and he was like, yeah. So all he saw was like Grimoire into the magician part that you just ended while all the files were being deleted. That's all he's ever seen of Inscryption, and I was like, this is like not what the game is like. This is just fucking crazy. You're just seeing like the crazy ending to this game. So sick, so cool. So I was so happy when like at how it ended. I loved it.
Do you guys want to talk about the video stuff? The
vlogger?
Yeah, the vlogger, like his finale.
Not really.
Okay, cool.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I feel like it was kind of cool early on, and then by the end, it was way less interesting than what was happening in Inscryption.
Right. Yeah.
So,
totally.
It was sick. It is sick that he gets his fucking head blown off, but
yeah, I mean, it was a wild ride. I think when people describe experiences as roller coasters, they mean they go up and they go down. But I would describe this game as a roller coaster in the sense that like you're going up very slowly, at the beginning of a very high, steep roller coaster, and you don't really know what the experience is going to be once you hit the climax, and you're kind of scared, but you're also kind of just in there. You're just buckled in, and then you just fucking fly. Like, you just fucking soar and hit top speed in 1 second, and you're just going for it. It just like goes wild.
The one thing I do want to say about Luke, the cardster,
The vlogger, yeah.
the vlogger, is like, why is he playing this game? And I was also wondering, like, why am I playing this game? Besides that, we're paid, we're paid by our supportive community to do it. Is like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like the mystery of it was so alluring to me. Like,
yeah,
in specifically of
Me
the
too.
game, I was like, what's going to happen next? And I don't know. I just feel like it's usually like I want to play games because they're fun or I'm curious, but like this was, I don't know. There was something about this where I was like, what the fuck could possibly happen the next time I play this game? And so, yeah, that was just, I felt kind of kinship with him.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that.
I feel the same way, and there's also something that we somehow haven't mentioned at all, is there's tons of secrets. There's tons of like other stuff you can do, like these other puzzles that you can figure out that lead to something else, and like you can unlock different cards and items and go to different worlds and like have different, experiences and interactions with different, I want to say people, but like blobs or things in the game or whatever. But it's like, I'm agreeing with everything you just said, Teddy, where it's like I was constantly like sort of intrigued and like, what the fuck's going to happen? But also what Daniel Mullen said about the existence of secrets and stuff is the question that they asked him was, do you mind, basically, because you made all of these incredible things, but like, do you mind if people don't see some of the things or don't find some of the things? Like, they're missing out on stuff that you made that you like or whatever. And he basically said just the mere existence of it enriches the experience for people who don't find it, because maybe they'll read about it after, or maybe they've read about it before, or there's someone else will tell them about it, and it just adds to what Teddy was describing with like the overall mystique around the experience. So even if you didn't uncover it, you still know that there's stuff there, and you know that like the experience could have been even like more rich, and like
it makes
there's more
everything
out there. Yeah.
It makes everything you find feel special, because not everything you're like, if you found every secret, the secrets aren't special, right? Because
right.
you find all of them, but because you only found half, you're like, oh, I did something cool to find this secret.
Yeah,
and that makes them rewarding.
It's like that paired with, those Botopia fights that we talked about, where like that's a unique experience. Like, we all had the experience, but it's unique to you because it's your hard drive. It's like all of these things just, I think, made it a really special, like, amazing game experience overall.
Yeah, cool. I just had the one last thing I wanted to say was I played the last like 2 hours of the game in our office, which is a hazard zone because of a sewage leak into our floorboards.
Ugh.
Hydrogen sulfide in the air, destroying my lungs. I was double masked, like feeling like with a headache, and I just couldn't stop playing. I was like exhausted and wanted to go to bed, but I was just so captivated by that like closing sequence. So it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, really, really great game.
So
should we? Oh, go ahead.
I want to talk about the. I couldn't find a good place to slot this in, but this game's like one of the best games I've ever played, but I think the two things I love about it so much are in direct opposition to each other.
Interesting.
So I think like Luke's story is, you specifically that the game is being played by Luke, is you're sort of like watching this happen, and you're watching this person put together this mystery, and I really like that component of the game. But then on the other end, the game is responding to how you play the game, and specifically you're going through your files, your
right.
And so like I feel like the game could have like really made this all about you. Like actually, even though I like both of them, I think just sticking with one. So like get rid of the whole Luke storyline and basically be like, you downloaded this game Inscryption and you can't hit new game. You have to hit continue. And suddenly now you're in this fight with Poe. Are you going to upload this to the internet or not? Because like if you're just kind of doing Luke's thing, it doesn't quite have the same gravity. Like it's not Luke's files, it's
my files.
It's my files, right? And the game sort of is doing that for a lot of it. It's playing with you.
It's like you name the cards,
right?
You
exactly.
customize the cards.
They're your
like
dev cards,
your Steam friends.
Yes.
Like,
and it's also like when I said Mantis God is OP when I played it for the second time, you know.
Well, right. Also, I don't think you need his reactions. I actually thought that was sort of like a weird fourth wall breaking.
Funny. I liked it.
It was fun. It was fun. It was fine. It was funny, but it was like it was not. It was not as special to me as what was happening towards the end of the game.
I agree with that. Yeah, I almost like. I was fine with it because I didn't put it together until like late enough in the game that I was like, oh, I see, I'm Luke. Like the way I kind of interpreted the story for most of my playthrough was like, this is like the origin of the problem and I'm a different player now. Like I'm learning about Inscryption through these videos. I'm not Luke was sort of what I thought was happening. Until like you get further along and you realize, you know, and you have his like gravestone and stuff like that. So I never like, you know, ran into that issue of being like, oh, I wish I wasn't Luke because I'm really not Luke. I'm me. But yeah, I mean, I can't help but agree with what you're saying. Like it doesn't really make sense. And even though I liked the Blair Witch videos and I was all in on them, it's like separation of church and state.
Love that you went there. Two great things, but they just shouldn't go together.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. Fucking awesome, dude.
Should we do ratings? Anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, there's other stuff I want to talk about.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Don't be sorry. I want to talk too. I could go forever.
I'm fucking done.
Danny's logging off.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Fuck.
Yes.
So I read recently like a bunch of not a bunch. I reread like the Roger Ebert thing, like video games aren't art. Video games will never make you cry. That bullshit, right? Like obviously he's an idiot for saying that. But like this game to me is not only like such an impeccable piece of art, like just such proof that video games are like capable of so much. They are uniquely capable. So like I think he said famously like video games won't make you cry, and I just think like that's obviously not true even with like narrative based video games. But I'll take his strong point, which is like mechanically focused games are exciting and thrilling, and he likes them, but they're not about evoking emotion. They're not like great poetry or whatever he thinks. Right. But no other medium could do something so strange and personal,
right,
as video games. Like this, Doug was saying something, we were talking for a long time and we were dancing around all these different things about this game. Like he was like, I want games to be like this, but obviously I don't want any other game to be like this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I think what we're saying is that this is like a quintessential video game. Like this is the video game fully realized, the full potential of like what the medium is possibly capable of. Like if you would, I would have never imagined something like this was possible 10 years ago. And it's not even
no way.
It's not even that like fundamentally groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's just, like just going. I think even other games like went into your hard drive in the past and stuff. Just all of this together, just really, I was like, this is a uniquely game experience. And this is like, even, I think we've talked about this, even if you like hate video games and you made it to the end of this podcast somehow, like just go play this game because not hate video games. I don't know. Well, I think it's worth playing because it shows the potential of the medium in such a special one direction way. I think like maybe other people are exploring other directions, but I just was like, wow, I want to show this to everybody. Like this should be in like a museum, right? I
don't know what postmodernism means. That's why I'm not talking about it. But the reason that like a word like that came to mind is because this does feel like a post where video games are game. Like whatever we want to call it, post-contemporary games. Like this is like a post-commercial games on Steam. This is post like a normal A to B start to finish game, right? Like whereas like we've constantly mentioned Slay the Spire on this episode. I probably have 1,000 hours in Slay the Spire. I fucking love Slay the Spire, but it is more the Roger Ebert type of game, where it's just a fun game that I like playing, versus this, which is like post-Slay, post-contemporary, post like almost any game I've ever played, and more towards the art focus. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's telling that this, I don't know, I was kind of hung up on this when I realized it won this like game developer award, where for 25 years it's been just like the biggest blockbuster,
right?
10.0 on like Eurogamer, and then this perfect score on Edge or whatever, and then this game like out of nowhere, this indie game, they're like, oh yeah, this. It's like the other game that is like an outlier on this list is Journey, and I think like they it's totally in that. They're definitely in that same bracket.
Yeah, to be honest, Journey, like that's a 10-year-old game. When I played that, I probably felt some of the same things that we're talking about now, where I was just like, oh my God, this is just next level in every fucking way I've ever seen. It's a good comp.
Yeah.
And 10 years before that was Metroid Prime. Was the game of the year on that.
I mean, to be fair, 2021 was a pretty weak year, but
everyone should play Frog Fractions. The spoiler is that it's similar to this. It's like it'll take you about an hour. It's fucking amazing. It's the first game I played that was kind of like this, that just kind of subverted your expectations. And we should all talk about it later. Maybe we can do a side game club about this.
Yeah, let's do a side game club, because I also want to play more Arcane Kids games.
Yes, okay.
This also made me think of that kind of stuff.
Cool. And maybe we'll slide in some Doki Doki.
Yeah. Maybe this is a Patreon episode or something where we just do like the extended universe game club of the game club.
Love it. Okay.
Let's ratings. Yeah, let's ratings.
I'll go first.
Yeah, senses. What are you thinking, Danny?
Senses 3, 100%. No doubt.
Teddy?
Yeah, senses 3.
I'm the same.
Dude,
didn't even think about it.
The fucking, when you go back to and you're playing, it really became a 3 when you play Leshy as the game's getting deleted, and you hear the deck, like the crispness of the cards, you receive your hand, the music plays, and like all those sounds. I was like, ugh, I'm so glad to be back in the cabin.
For me, it was like 10 hours earlier than that. The boss music in Leshy's cabin in Act 1. The ramping up of like the clanking when you're trying like so hard early on, you're so weak.
There's gold in them cars.
Yeah, like and the angler is like, it's like so like demonic and like, oh my god, I was like, this is like, remember we talked about it in an early meeting. I was like, I can't believe this didn't win best audio in that same award show. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is Unpacking? How did this game not win best sound design? Like, it's unreal. And I also love the way it looks. Like, it's so creepy and unique in the cabin. Like, obviously I love the like Game Boy 8-bit zone and then the really cool cyber zone. Like, it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
What about fun? That's kind of a harder one, I think. Because I don't think any of us had 3 out of 3 fun the whole time, right? It wasn't a fucking rip-roaring banger of fun.
I'm gonna give it a 2.
2 is really good.
Yeah. I mean, Halo 1 was a 2.
Wow.
I had less fun. The share of fun that I had, the percentage of the time that I was having fun in this game was less than Prey, though. So I'm gonna give it a 2. Because I gave Prey a 3.
I mean, the library in Halo is significantly worse than any part in this game. Like, by a huge margin, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Like,
the valleys in Halo were way deeper.
Yes.
And that game is co-op. I think I'm a 2 also. I think that I don't know what a 3 is. I don't know if I've ever played a 3, to be honest, in fun rating. Because there were moments of frustration in this game. And there were moments where I was like, I really don't want to keep playing the same map of this card game over again. This isn't fun, you know? And I spent a long time in the 8-bit world powering up my broken-ass card to infinity so I could one-shot every enemy. Like, that wasn't fun. I was grinding. But it was, overall, a very fun experience.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this. I think like it's sort of how boundary pushing it is, or out of the box, for lack of a better word. Like, it's fun is not what I would use to describe it, and like it's like a criticism of games almost, that we have fun as a category. Yes. Right. Like, I think it's a 1, a 1 in terms of fun.
Yeah, you're talking me into a 1.
But like, we should have something else there instead of fun, right? It should be like, was your mind blown?
Well, I'm changing mine to a 1 as well, and then we do have something else, which is recommend, and I think it's a 3 out of 3 for me. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 3 recommend, meaning I think every fucking person should play this game, even if you're not a gamer. I'm giving it a 3 out of 3 out of senses, which means I think it's fucking so sick looking. The music and sound is incredible, and everyone should check it out. It's not that fun, but not everything's fun. Like, not every movie I like is funny. You know, like it's the same thing. Not every song I like is upbeat and happy. Like, it doesn't have to be like that.
Right. I guess that I agree, but I do think that still pokes a hole in our rating system, right? It's like, when we're reviewing music, we don't have like an upbeat.
Yeah. Like, the equivalent would be like, can you work out to this?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, well, what the fuck is that? All right, we might have to adjust the ratings.
No, and like, maybe
this game has taught us something.
Well, I just think I like that we're not. I hope we don't use the rating system as like, is a 9 out of 9 the best game ever? Right.
True.
And like,
the best game ever are the 3 out of 3 recommends.
Right.
Pretty much. Like,
I gave Prey a 9, and it's definitely not the best game ever.
You don't need senses and fun. They're just more descriptive, I guess. But recommend is really where we're giving it. Yeah. But yeah, 3 out of 3 recommend for me, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Wow. Highest overall scoring game by far for us.
Yeah.
That feels great.
It was a fucking banger. I was a little offended when Hayden was like, it's a cute game. What did he say? Like, he's like, why? His question was, why don't I have questions for you guys about this game? I've been trying to think of one for days. There's nothing there. It's a cute game. That's all I got. I was like, Come on.
I mean,
We love you,
his
Hayden.
extrapolation later on is even true, though, right? It's like, I'm just gonna read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing. Hayden, Comrade Hack.
That he doesn't have a question for us. He says, I think it has something to do with the fact that the game has so many different layers, like it's a card game and also a puzzle game. And then the card game and the puzzle games each have their own unique iterations in each act. And then it also has a multi-layered story with the struggle for power between the four scribes, plus the meta story about Luke Carter told by the videos. On its own, each bit is kind of shallow and forgettable, but as a package, it's a totally unique experience. And it's about the experience of playing, and this is the part I really love, and it's about the experience of playing video games. And since we all play a lot of games, there isn't much to say about something that's just about the experience of video games. And I think it's a revelation for us about playing video games for ourselves too, right? It's like, it's about playing video games, but almost we've been playing games too much to like even know what it is about, what like we're actually doing here, right? And what we've come to expect, right? Like we all came into this like we're reviewers, we have a podcast. I'm going to talk about this card game. I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell everyone how it is.
I'm fucking legend in Hearthstone. Suck my dick. I'm gonna fucking kill this review.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like you don't understand card games well enough, or actually I'm gonna surprise you or outsmart you. It's you don't understand this medium, right?
Yeah,
like,
you don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah, right. Like I'm gonna take this world you're in and I'm gonna go outside of it and start talking. Right? It's hard to talk about, but I loved it.
Yeah, I mean in the first like line of description on Wikipedia, it says as a metafictional game. It just throws that in there. But then when you click it, metafiction is defined as metafiction is a form of fiction which emphasizes its own constructedness in a way that continually reminds the audience to be aware they are reading or viewing a fictional work. Metafiction is self-conscious about language, literary forms, storytelling, and works of metafiction directly or indirectly draw attention to their status as artifacts. And it's just like, yep. Like, this game is constantly telling you that you're in a game and playing a game and watching a game and experiencing a game. And it's just like, yeah. Woo! Banger.
Woo-hoo.
That's a
Banger.
pod, baby. We obviously don't have the next game picked out yet. We haven't even talked about it, but
you
I've
know,
just been so captivated by Inscryption, I haven't even thought about it.
yeah. Well,
I also finished it like 2 nights ago, so.
Yeah,
you
there
know
we
what
go.
to do. Listen to the robot voice at the end
Yes.
of this. It'll tell you what game we're going to play.
Yes.
And then we'll change it.
And then we might change it. Yeah. depending if we don't like it. I can't believe we were going to play Jet Set Radio. I'm so happy we changed to Inscryption.
Yeah, me too.
seriously.
Holy shit. We're also going to play Sea of Thieves. So if you made it this far in the podcast, you can react to our the pirate emoji and the welcome to
Oh,
White Flank
yeah.
Discord.
That's not a game club game. That's just everyone get involved type of game.
Yeah, we're just gonna play it like on Wednesday nights or something. We're gonna make people walk the plank and stuff.
All right, that's all, folks.
That's all she wrote. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Love you all. Love you, Teddy. Love you, Alon.
You too, bro.
For the next Game Club episode, we will be playing Chrono Trigger from 1995. Happy gaming.